In 1972, America was a nation in turmoil. The Vietnam War had divided the country, sparking widespread protests and civil unrest. The civil rights movement was still pushing for equality, and the economy faced challenges, with inflation on the rise. President Richard Nixon, a Republican, was seeking re-election amidst this backdrop of uncertainty and dissent. He faced a divided Democratic opposition, which gave him a strategic advantage. Nixon's presidency had been marked by a focus on foreign policy, especially his efforts to ease tensions with the Soviet Union and China. Domestically, however, he was less popular, with critics accusing him of being out of touch with the American people. His administration was known for its secrecy and a tendency to view political opponents as enemies. This paranoia would play a crucial role in the unfolding scandal. The Republican Party, under Nixon's leadership, was determined to maintain control of the White House. They believed that a second term would allow Nixon to solidify his foreign policy achievements and address domestic issues. However, the political landscape was fraught with challenges, and Nixon's team was willing to go to great lengths to ensure victory. As the 1972 election approached, the stakes were high. Nixon's administration was determined to win by any means necessary, setting the stage for one of the most infamous political scandals in American history. Nixon's re-election campaign in 1972 was a well-oiled machine. It was marked by a relentless drive to secure a landslide victory. The campaign, known as the Committee to Re-elect the President, or CREEP, was flush with funds and resources. Nixon's team employed aggressive tactics, including a focus on law and order, to appeal to the so-called silent majority of Americans who were tired of the chaos of the 1960s. The campaign's strategy included undermining Democratic opponents through various means. Nixon's aides believed that ensuring his re-election was crucial for the continuation of his policies. They were willing to engage in unethical practices to achieve their goals. This mindset led to the formation of a covert group tasked with gathering intelligence on political rivals. Nixon's desire for a decisive victory was driven by his belief that a strong mandate would silence his critics. He feared that a close election could embolden his enemies and weaken his position. As a result, his campaign went to extraordinary lengths to secure every possible advantage, including illegal activities. The pressure to win at all costs created an atmosphere where ethical boundaries were blurred. This desperation would lead to the infamous break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters, setting off a chain of events that would ultimately bring down Nixon's presidency. On June 17, 1972, 5 men were arrested for breaking into the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate office complex in Washington, D.C. They were caught attempting to wiretap phones and steal documents. Initially, the break-in seemed like a minor incident, but it quickly became clear that it was part of a larger conspiracy. The men arrested were linked to Nixon's re-election campaign, raising suspicions about the president's involvement. The break-in was orchestrated by members of CREEP, who were tasked with gathering intelligence on Democratic opponents. The operation was part of a broader strategy to ensure Nixon's victory by any means necessary. As investigations into the break-in began, it became evident that there was a cover-up attempt. The Nixon administration tried to distance itself from the scandal, but evidence started to emerge linking the president's aides to the crime. The Watergate break-in was just the tip of the iceberg, revealing a web of illegal activities and abuses of power. The scandal began to unravel as more details emerged. The break-in was not an isolated incident, but part of a systematic effort to undermine political opponents. This revelation would lead to a series of investigations that would expose the extent of the corruption within Nixon's administration. The Watergate scandal might have remained hidden, if not for the persistent efforts of investigative journalists. Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, reporters for The Washington Post, played a crucial role in uncovering the truth. Their reporting was instrumental in bringing the scandal to light, despite facing significant obstacles. Woodward and Bernstein's investigation began with a simple court report about the break-in. They followed the money trail, uncovering a series of illegal activities linked to Nixon's re-election campaign. Their work was characterized by meticulous research and a commitment to uncovering the truth, regardless of the risks involved. The reporters relied on confidential sources, most notably Deep Throat, who provided crucial information about the cover-up. Their articles gradually revealed the extent of the corruption, implicating high-ranking officials within the Nixon administration. The media's role in the Watergate scandal highlighted the importance of a free press in holding those in power accountable. As the story gained traction, it captured the nation's attention. The relentless pursuit of the truth by the media played a pivotal role in bringing the scandal to the forefront of public consciousness. It set a precedent for investigative journalism and its ability to challenge abuses of power. Section 5. The tapes and legal battles. The turning point in the Watergate scandal came with the revelation of the existence of secret tapes. These recordings were made by President Nixon himself, capturing conversations in the Oval Office. The tapes became a focal point of the investigation, as they contained evidence of Nixon's involvement in the cover-up. The legal battles over the tapes were intense. Nixon initially refused to release them, citing executive privilege. However, the Supreme Court ruled that he must turn over the tapes, leading to a dramatic confrontation. The tapes revealed that Nixon had been involved in the cover-up from the beginning, contradicting his public denials. The release of the tapes was a bombshell, providing irrefutable evidence of Nixon's wrongdoing. It became clear that the president had abused his power and obstructed justice. The tapes were a smoking gun that left Nixon with few options as the legal and political pressure mounted. The tapes not only exposed Nixon's lies but also eroded his support within his own party. As the evidence mounted, calls for impeachment grew louder. The legal battles over the tapes highlighted the limits of presidential power and the importance of accountability. Section 6. Nixon's resignation and Ford's pardon. Faced with the prospect of impeachment, Richard Nixon became the first U.S. president to resign from office on August 8, 1974. His resignation speech was broadcast to the nation, where he admitted to making mistakes but stopped short of confessing to any crimes. Nixon's resignation marked the end of a tumultuous presidency and a significant moment in American history. Vice President Gerald Ford assumed the presidency, inheriting a nation deeply divided by the scandal. In a controversial move, Ford granted Nixon a full pardon for any crimes he may have committed while in office. The pardon was intended to help the country move forward, but it sparked outrage and accusations of a corrupt bargain. Ford's decision to pardon Nixon was seen by many as a betrayal of justice. It was a politically risky move that likely cost Ford the presidency in the 1976 election. However, Ford defended his decision, arguing that it was necessary to heal the nation and put the scandal behind. Nixon's resignation and Ford's pardon had a profound impact on American politics. It underscored the importance of accountability and the rule of law, setting a precedent for how future scandals would be handled. The events of Watergate left a lasting legacy on the presidency and the American political landscape. Section 7. The long-term impact on American politics. The Watergate scandal had far-reaching consequences for American politics. It led to a loss of trust in government and a more cynical view of politicians. The scandal exposed the potential for abuse of power at the highest levels, prompting calls for greater transparency and accountability in government. In response to Watergate, Congress passed a series of reforms aimed at curbing executive power and increasing oversight. These included the War Powers Act, the Freedom of Information Act amendments, and campaign finance reforms. The scandal also led to a more aggressive and investigative press, determined to hold public officials accountable. The legacy of Watergate influenced subsequent political scandals, such as the Iran-Contra affair and the Clinton impeachment. It set a standard for how the media and the public would respond to allegations of corruption and misconduct. The scandal also contributed to a more polarized political climate, as trust in government institutions eroded. Watergate's impact is still felt today, as it shaped the way Americans view their leaders and the importance of checks and balances. It serves as a reminder of the need for vigilance in protecting democratic institutions and the rule of law. Section 8. Questions on political corruption today. The Watergate scandal raised important questions about political corruption and accountability that remain relevant today. In an era of increasing political polarization and division, concerns about the abuse of power and ethical conduct continue to dominate the public discourse. The lessons of Watergate serve as a cautionary tale for current and future leaders. As we reflect on the events of Watergate, we must ask ourselves, how can we ensure that those in power are held accountable for their actions? What measures can be taken to prevent similar abuses of power in the future? Are the reforms put in place after Watergate sufficient to address the challenges of today? The role of the media in uncovering political scandals is as crucial now as it was during Watergate. In an age of misinformation and fake news, the importance of a free and independent press cannot be overstated. How can we support and protect journalists who seek to uncover the truth? Ultimately, the Watergate scandal reminds us of the fragility of democracy and the need for constant vigilance. As we navigate the complexities of modern politics, we must remain committed to the principles of transparency, accountability, and justice for all.